Let's calculate the domain of the function f of x equal to the square root of x minus 1 divided by x plus 3. F is given by this expression, and we are told the domain. The definition of the domain is the biggest set of real numbers where the function who defines f has sense. As we can see, the function is a square root, so this function will have sense when it is bigger or equal than 0. As the square root of 0 is 0, 0 is also, would be also included on the domain. As we can see, inside the root we have a fraction, and as we should know, a fraction has sense when the denominator is not equal to 0. In our case, to study the domain, what we have to do is to study the sign of what is inside of the root. That is, studying the sign of the numerator and the denominator. And what we have to do is this. Let's get the denominator and the numerator and make them equal 0. So, from x minus 1 we would have that x is equal to 1 and x plus 3 equals 0, x is equal to minus 3. A property that this fraction has is that it is a continuous function. So, what is going to happen? What is going to happen is that by studying the sign of the intervals separated by those points that doesn't have sense or are not on the domain of the function, will tell us the real sign of this fraction. So let's represent x equal 1 and x equal minus 3. In x equal 1, the numerator would be equal 0, and on x equal minus 3, the denominator would be minus 3. So, drawing this on a straight line, the minus 3, as it's not on the domain, it would make the denominator equal 0, and that doesn't have any signs. It's going to be a white point, and the 1 is going to be a black point, because it is on the domain. So let's study the sign on x minus 1 divided by x plus 3. So now what we have to do is to think of a number of each interval. Let's try with the easiest one. So let's begin. Smaller than minus 3 would be minus 4. Between minus 3 and 1 it could be 0, and bigger than 1 we're gonna try with 2. So substituting the minus 4 on the fraction, we would have minus 4 minus 1 divided by minus 4 plus 3, and this is equal to minus 5 divided by minus 1, and that is plus 5. So the sign is positive for this interval. Let's go with the 0. 0 minus 1 divided by 0 plus 3 is minus 1/3. That is a negative sign. And now the last interval. 2 minus 1 divided by 2 plus 3. That is 1/5. Positive sign. And now we can write the domain of the function. So it would be, as this is positive and another one positive, that is from minus infinite to minus 3 and from 1 to plus infinite. So the domain would be minus infinite until the minus 3, which is not included on the domain, and 1 included because it just only makes the numerator equal 0, and from 1 till infinite, till plus infinite, that would be the whole domain of the function f.